The invitation arrived on a Thursday. Plain white envelope, my sister Monica's handwriting, the kind of careful script that screamed, "I practiced this to look effortless." Inside, cream cardstock announced a family reunion at the Riverside Estate, celebration of our parents' 45th wedding anniversary. 3 weeks away, RSVP requested. I held it over the kitchen trash can for a solid minute. "You're going," my wife Elena said from the doorway. She wasn't asking. "They didn't call, they mailed it, like I'm some distant cousin. Because they're afraid you won't come if they call." She crossed the room, took the invitation from my hand, set it on the counter. "And you need to go. We both know why." I did know. For 10 years I'd avoided these gatherings, made excuses, sent gifts, kept my distance. But something had shifted 3 months ago when my father's attorney, old Jim Brennan, called with information I'd stopped hoping to find. Information that changed everything. Information that made this reunion not just tolerable, but necessary. "It'll be brutal," I said. It always was. Elena poured coffee, slid a cup across the granite. "But this time you're ready." She was right. This time I wasn't walking in as the family disappointment, the brother who couldn't keep his act together, the son who'd failed at every venture while his siblings thrived. This time I knew the truth, and the truth was a weapon I'd been sharpening for 90 days. "They'll mock us," I said. "You know they will. Let them." Elena sipped her coffee, dark eyes steady over the rim. "It'll make what comes after taste better." I loved her for that. For the steel in her spine, the calculated patience. We'd met 2 years after the worst of it, after my brother Daniel had taken everything that mattered and my sister had stood by watching. Elena knew the whole ugly story. She'd seen me at my lowest, helped me climb back, never once suggested I forgive or forget or move on. She understood that some wounds don't heal. They just wait for the right moment to be useful. 3 weeks, I said. 3 weeks, she agreed. We RSVP'd that night. Going, both of us. No excuses. The replies started within days. First Monica, all fake enthusiasm. "So wonderful you can make it. It's been far too long." Then my younger brother Paul, brief and formal. "Good to hear. See you there." Daniel didn't respond at all, which told me everything. He'd hoped I'd stay away. He'd gotten comfortable in my absence. That comfort was about to end. The next 2 weeks crawled. I went to work at the consulting firm, handled clients, sat through meetings, acted normal. But every night, Elena and I reviewed the plan. Every detail, every contingency. What I'd say, what I wouldn't. Where I'd stand, when I'd move. She had a gift for strategy, for seeing 3 steps ahead. She'd worked in corporate litigation before we met, knew how to dismantle an opponent without raising her voice. "They'll try to provoke you early," she said one night, papers spread across our dining table. "Monica will make some comment about your clothes or your car. Paul will ask about work in that tone that suggests you're barely employed. Daniel will just smirk. He won't say anything directly. He never does. And I do nothing. You do nothing. You smile. You're pleasant. You let them think you're the same defeated man who left 10 years ago." She tapped a folder. "Then, when everyone's settled, when they've had their fun and their guard is down, we move." "You're sure this will work?" She looked at me like I'd asked if water was wet. "Tom, I've spent 6 months building this case. Every document verified, every timeline confirmed, every witness ready. They won't see it coming because they've never bothered to look at you closely enough to see what you're capable of." That was the thing, wasn't it? My family had written me off so completely that they'd stopped paying attention. To them, I was fixed in amber at age 28, the age when everything fell apart. They had no idea who I'd become in the decade since. They had no idea what I knew, what I'd discovered, what I was going to do with it. Jim Brennan had been my father's attorney for 30 years, handling trusts and estates and the quiet legal work of a successful orthopedic surgeon. He called me in September, asked me to meet him at his office downtown, said it was important, said it concerned my father. I'd assumed it was about the will, some revision, maybe cutting me out entirely. I'd braced for that. But when I sat across from Jim in his oak-paneled office, he'd pulled out a file folder and said, "Your father asked me to give you this if certain conditions were met. Those conditions have now been met." The folder contained copies of financial documents, trust modifications, property transfers, account statements, all dated 8 to 12 years ago, all bearing my signature, except I'd never signed them. "I don't understand," I'd said, flipping through page after page of my own forged name. Jim's face had been grim. "Your father became suspicious about 6 years ago. He hired a forensic accountant, very quietly, to review family finances. The accountant found discrepancies. Your father didn't confront anyone. He just watched and documented. He told me he wanted you to have this information at the right time." Why didn't he tell me before? Because he was ashamed. Because he didn't want to believe his own children would do this to their brother. He's known for 2 years, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He wanted to handle this himself, but the disease moved too fast. Now it's up to you. I'd sat there, the folder heavy in my hands, understanding slowly crystallizing. My brother hadn't just stolen from me. He'd systematically dismantled my inheritance while my father was still alive, using forged documents to transfer assets, bleed accounts, redirect trust distributions. My sister had known. My younger brother had probably known. They'd watched it happen. They'd benefited from it. And my father, too proud or too broken to intervene, had left me the evidence like a loaded gun. "What does he want me to do with this?" I'd asked. Jim had leaned back in his chair. "He wants you to do what you think is right. He said you'd know when the moment came. He said you were always the smart one, the one who thought things through. He said if anyone could make this right without destroying the family completely, it was you." But I didn't want to make it right. I wanted them to suffer. Elena had been more practical. "Suffering is temporary," she'd said that night, reading through the documents. "Consequences are permanent. Let's give them consequences." So we'd built the case, verified everything, cross-referenced accounts, traced money, documented the whole sordid trail of theft and forgery that had left me broke and humiliated 10 years ago, while my siblings got rich on what should have been mine. We'd worked with Jim, who'd connected us with a forensic accountant and a very quiet, very expensive attorney who specialized in family trust litigation. And then we'd waited for the right moment. The invitation had been perfect timing. Now, the night before the reunion, Elena and I packed carefully. She laid out my clothes, good but not expensive looking. We'd agreed I should appear slightly shabby, slightly behind. Let them underestimate me one last time. She packed her own outfit with more care, elegant, understated, the kind of thing that would make the family wives second-guess their own choices. "You nervous?" she asked. No. It was true. I'd been nervous for weeks, but now that we were hours away, I felt only a cold, clear certainty. "You?" "I'm excited." She smiled, sharp and quick. I've been waiting to see their faces. We drove up Friday afternoon, took our time. The Riverside estate was exactly the kind of place my family would choose, expensive, tasteful, dripping with casual wealth. It sat on 40 acres outside Harrison, all manicured lawns and old trees, and a main house that looked like something out of a furniture catalog. My parents had rented it for the weekend, all 12 bedrooms, because of course they had. Cars were already parked along the circular drive when we arrived. Daniel's black Mercedes, Monica's white Range Rover, Paul's Tesla, all of them newer models, all of them gleaming. Elena touched my hand. "Remember, you're here to celebrate. You're happy to see everyone. You've moved on." "Right. And Tom?" She squeezed my fingers. "Make them wait for it. Make them feel safe first." We got out. Gravel crunched under our feet. Voices drifted from the main house, laughter, the clink of glasses. Through the tall windows I could see people moving, familiar shapes, family I hadn't seen in a decade. My stomach tightened, but I kept my face neutral, pleasant. Elena linked her arm through mine. "Show time," she murmured. We walked toward the door. Monica met us in the foyer, all manufactured warmth and air kisses. She looked exactly the same. Blonde highlights, tennis tan, diamonds that weren't quite big enough to be vulgar, but definitely big enough to notice. Her husband Richard hovered behind her, the same bland smile he'd always had. "Tom, oh my God, you made it." She hugged me like we were long-lost friends instead of siblings who'd spent a decade avoiding each other. "And Elena, so lovely to finally meet you properly." Finally was doing some heavy lifting there, since they'd met at our wedding 4 years ago, but I let it slide. "Good to be here," I said. "You look, well," Monica said, and there it was, the first tiny barb. Not good, not great, just well, like I'd been sick. Come in. Everyone's in the garden room. Dad's been asking about you." We followed her through the house. I caught glimpses of the others through doorways. Paul and his wife Jennifer setting up some kind of lawn game outside. Daniel's wife Patricia arranging flowers. No sign of Daniel yet. My parents sat in the garden room, a wall of windows overlooking the grounds. My mother rose immediately, embraced me with real warmth. She'd never been part of the ugliness. She'd been willfully blind to it, which was its own sin, but she'd never participated. My father stayed seated. He looked smaller than I remembered, thinner. The cancer was eating him from the inside. He met my eyes, and in them I saw knowledge. He knew I had the folder. He knew I knew. He gave me the smallest nod. "Thomas," he said. His voice was steady. "Good you came." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. Elena charmed them both within minutes. She had that gift. My mother relaxed, laughed at something Elena said about the drive up. My father watched her with approval. They could see she was good for me. They could see she was sharp, capable. They had no idea how capable. Then Daniel walked in. He froze for just a second when he saw me, just long enough for me to know he'd hoped I'd skip this. Then the mask slid into place, that easy confidence he'd always had. He was 41 now, expensive suit, executive bearing. He'd done well for himself with my money. "Tom." He didn't offer his hand. "Surprised seeing you here." "Family occasion," I said evenly. Seemed important. "Right. Important." He glanced at Elena, dismissed her in a second, turned back to me. "How's work? Still doing the consulting thing?" There it was. The condescension. The implication that what I did was small, temporary, beneath him. He ran a private equity firm now, or so I'd heard, made millions moving other people's money around, built on a foundation of what he'd stolen from me. "Business is good," I said. "Steady." Good. Steady is nice." He smiled, predatory. "Consistency matters." Elena's grip on my arm tightened fractionally. Warning, not yet. "Drink?" Monica appeared with champagne. "We're toasting Mom and Dad in a few minutes." I took a glass, pretended to sip, stayed quiet while my family circulated, catching up, trading stories about vacations and renovations and private schools. Paul asked about our housing situation with an edge that suggested he assumed we were renting. Monica made a comment about Elena's shoes being practical. Daniel just watched me with barely concealed amusement, like I was a pet that had learned a new trick by showing up. They were all so comfortable, so certain of their positions, so convinced I was still the broken thing they'd left behind. After the toast, we moved outside for dinner. Long table under string lights, catered food, wine flowing. I sat between Elena and Paul, directly across from Daniel. Perfect positioning. I ate, made small talk, laughed at appropriate moments, played the part of the reconciled brother, the one who'd moved past old grievances, and I waited. Remember when Tom tried to start that tech company? Paul said halfway through dinner, addressing the table. What was it called? Something with solutions in the name? Digital Solutions Group, I said quietly. Right. Whatever happened with that? He knew exactly what had happened. They all did. Didn't work out, I said. Shame. You put a lot into it. Daniel's voice was smooth, sympathetic, false. But sometimes ventures just aren't meant to be. No shame in failure. No, I agreed. No shame at all. Elena's hand found mine under the table, steady, patient. You know what I always wondered? Monica leaned forward, wine bright and careless. Why didn't you ask us for help back then? We would have helped. Family helps family. The lie hung in the air. We all knew it was a lie. They'd watched me struggle, watched me lose everything, watched me move into a one-bedroom apartment with furniture from Goodwill. They'd helped themselves while I drowned. I didn't think to ask, I said. You were always so independent, my mother said, trying to smooth it over. Even as a boy. That's me, I said. Independent. The conversation shifted. Someone brought up politics, someone else mentioned a movie, normal dinner talk. I noticed my father barely touched his food. He watched us all with ancient eyes, knowing what was coming, unable or unwilling to stop it. This was his gift to me, his final act as a father. The truth, delivered too late to prevent the crime, but just in time for the reckoning. After dinner, Monica suggested a tour of the grounds. Most people scattered, some to the lawn, some to the fire pit, some back inside for more drinks. I told Elena I needed the bathroom, watched her nod, understanding. She'd keep them distracted. I found the study on the second floor, empty, quiet. I closed the door and pulled out my phone, sent a single text message to Jim Brennan. Tomorrow, noon. Confirmed. The reply came immediately. Ready. Tomorrow at noon, papers would be filed in Harrison County Court. Fraud charges, forgery, theft, everything documented, everything provable, everything pointing directly at Daniel. Monica as an accessory. Paul as a knowing beneficiary. The whole house of cards I'd built my case on, ready to collapse on their heads. But they didn't know that. They thought this was just a reunion. They thought they were safe. I heard footsteps in the hall. The door opened. Daniel stood there blocking the light. Looking for something? He asked. Bathroom, I said. Wrong floor. He stepped inside, closed the door behind him. Want to tell me why you're really here? Celebrating Mom and Dad. Bullshit. He moved closer. You've avoided us for 10 years. Now you show up with your lawyer wife and that smile that doesn't reach your eyes. What's your angle? No angle. I don't believe you. His voice dropped. I've kept track of you, Tom. I know where you work. I know how much you make. I know you're nobody. So what makes you think you can walk back into this family and act like you belong? I am family, I said quietly, whether you like it or not. Just for a second. Just long enough. Then he recovered. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You're delusional. You were always the weak one. The one who couldn't handle pressure. Now you're inventing conspiracies because you can't accept that you failed on your own. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I have proof. He went very still. Proof of what? Everything. We stared at each other. 10 years of hatred condensed into one moment. I could see him calculating, trying to figure out if I was bluffing, trying to remember what he'd done, what trail he'd left, what could possibly come back to hurt him after all this time. You've got nothing, he said finally. We'll see. You threaten me and I'll bury you. I'll bury your wife. I'll make sure you never work in this state again. Sounds exhausting. He grabbed my collar. I'm not joking. Neither am I. I didn't pull away, just stood there, calm, looking him in the eyes. You took everything from me, my money, my business, my future. You did it because you could, because you thought I'd never fight back. And for 10 years you were right. And now? Now, I'm going to return the favor. He shoved me back against the wall, hard enough to hurt. You're nothing. You understand? Nothing. Whatever you think you have, whatever you think you know, it won't matter. I have lawyers, I have money, I have connections. You have a sad little life and a wife who'll leave you the second things get ugly. We'll see, I said again. He wanted to hit me. I could see it in his eyes, the desire to smash my face, to physically dominate me the way he dominated me financially and emotionally. But he was too smart for that, too controlled. He released my collar, stepped back, smoothed his jacket. Enjoy the weekend, Tom. Enjoy pretending you matter, because after this, you're out. Permanently. You come after me and I'll make sure you never see this family again. I'll turn Mom against you. I'll turn Dad against you. Hell, I'll turn your own wife against you. And then you'll have nothing. Again. He left. I stood there in the study, heart pounding, checking my phone. The recording app had caught everything, every threat, every admission, every word. Got you, I whispered to the empty room. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? I found Elena by the fire pit, talking with Patricia and Jennifer. She saw me approaching and something in my face made her excuse herself. We walked to the edge of the lawn, far enough from the others for privacy. He cornered me, I said quietly. And he threatened everything. Said he'd destroy me if I came after him. Said he has lawyers and money and connections. I pulled out my phone, showed her the recording app. Got it all. Elena's smile was sharp as broken glass. Idiot. He's a complete idiot. He thinks I'm bluffing. Because he's never had to face consequences. Men like Daniel think the world bends to their will because it always has. She took my phone, forwarded the recording to her own device. This is perfect. The judge will love this. Threats, admission of power imbalance, direct acknowledgement that he knows about the documents. He basically gift-wrapped our case. He'll have his own lawyers. He'll have expensive lawyers who'll tell him he's screwed. Elena handed back my phone. Trust me, I've seen this before. Rich men do stupid things when they're threatened because they've never been held accountable. The recording proves consciousness of guilt. Combined with the forensic evidence, the forged signatures, the paper trail, he's done. And Monica? She was present during multiple transactions. The accountant confirmed it. She knew. She helped. She's going down with him. Paul? Received transferred funds totaling $300,000 over 2 years. Harder to prove he knew the source was fraudulent, but he'll be implicated. The trust litigation alone will freeze everything for months, maybe years. She studied my face. You okay? Yeah. I breathed out slowly. Yeah, I'm good. You don't look good. He said he'd turn Dad against me. Mom, too. Elena touched my cheek. Your father gave you that folder knowing exactly what you'd do with it. He's not going to turn on you, and your mother will figure it out. Eventually. Once she sees the evidence, once she understands what they did to you, she'll come around. And if she doesn't? Then she wasn't worth keeping anyway. Her voice was gentle but firm. Tom, you can't save people who don't want to be saved. You tried that already. It broke you. Don't do it again. She was right. I'd spent years trying to fix things, trying to prove myself, trying to earn back what had been stolen. It hadn't worked. Reconciliation required both sides to want it. My siblings had made their choice 10 years ago. Now I was making mine. We walked back to the house. The evening had turned cool, guests moving inside for coffee and dessert. I caught my father watching me from his chair by the window. He beckoned me over with one thin hand. Walk with me, he said. We went out to the garden, just the two of us. He moved slowly, each step careful. The cancer had eaten his strength but not his mind. He led me to a bench overlooking the pond, sat with a grunt of pain. "You met with Jim," he said, not a question. "I did." "And?" "I have the folder. I have everything." He nodded slowly. "What are you going to do?" "What do you think?" "I think you're going to destroy your brother, probably your sister too, maybe all of them." "They destroyed me first." "Yes, they did." He looked at the pond, at the reflection of lights on dark water. "I should have stopped it. I knew something was wrong, I felt it. But I didn't want to believe my own children would do that to each other. By the time I had proof, you were already gone, already broken. I convinced myself it was too late to fix. It was too late. Maybe, or maybe I was a coward." He turned to me. "You know that. The doctors give me 6 months, maybe less. I don't have time to make this right. So I gave you the tools to do it yourself. But I need you to understand something." "What?" "There's no going back from this. You file those papers, you bring those charges, this family is over, forever. Your mother will never recover. Monica and Paul will hate you. Daniel will try to destroy you in return. Everyone will take sides. Christmas, weddings, funerals. It'll all be warfare from now on. Are you prepared for that? You gave me the folder. I gave you the truth. What you do with it is your choice." I looked at him, this man who'd raised me, paid for my education, taught me to fish and drive and stand up straight. He'd also taught me to trust my family, to think that love could overcome any obstacle. He'd been wrong about all of it. "They took everything, Dad. My money, my business, my future. They didn't just steal from me. They humiliated me. They made me feel like I deserved it, like I was weak and stupid and worthless. And you knew. For 6 years you knew and you said nothing. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 10 years. No, it doesn't." He reached over, put his hand on mine. His skin was paper thin, spotted with age. "Do what you need to do, son. I won't stop you. I don't have the right. Just promise me one thing." "What?" "Promise me you'll survive it. Whatever happens after, whatever blowback comes, whatever they throw at you, promise me you won't let it destroy you a second time. Because that's what Daniel will try to do. He'll try to make you the villain. He'll tell everyone you're the crazy one, the vengeful one, the one who tore the family apart, and if you're not careful, you'll start believing it. I won't. You might. Revenge feels good in the planning. It feels righteous. But after, when the dust settles and the damage is done, it can turn hollow. Make sure you have something else. Someone else." He glanced back toward the house where Elena stood visible through the windows. "She's good for you. Don't lose her in this." "She's the one who helped me build the case." He laughed, a dry rasp. "Then maybe you're smarter than I thought. Smart enough to marry someone stronger than you." "Dad, go." He waved me away. "Go be with your wife. Enjoy the night. Tomorrow comes soon enough." I left him there by the pond, went inside, found Elena in the kitchen helping my mother with dessert plates. They looked up when I entered, both smiling, both unaware that tomorrow everything would change. My mother hummed while she worked. She'd always been good at denial. It was her survival mechanism, her way of dealing with a family that ate itself from the inside. She wouldn't be able to deny this. The evening wound down slowly. People drifted to their rooms. Daniel left early with Patricia, claiming work in the morning. Monica and Richard took the guest house. Paul and Jennifer disappeared upstairs. My parents retired at 10, my father barely able to climb the stairs. Elena and I were given a room on the 2nd floor, far from everyone else. Isolated. Perfect. "How was your talk with your father?" Elena asked as we unpacked. "He knows what I'm doing. He approves, I think." "You think?" "He warned me about the consequences, about how this ends. But he also said I should do what I need to do. That's approval. It's permission, not the same thing. Elena came over, put her hands on my shoulders. Tom, you don't need his permission. You're not a child. They wronged you. You have evidence. You have the right to seek justice. Justice. Is that what this is? Yes. No hesitation. They committed fraud. They forged documents. They stole from you and they got away with it for a decade. That ends tomorrow. That's justice. What about revenge? Justice and revenge aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes they're the same thing. She kissed my forehead. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's a big day. But I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark, listening to the old house settle, thinking about Daniel's face when he'd grabbed my collar, thinking about Monica's fake smile, thinking about 10 years of poverty and shame and grinding effort to rebuild what they'd taken, thinking about how good it was going to feel to watch it all come crashing down on them. Elena was right. This wasn't just revenge. This was correction. This was the universe finally balancing its books. Around 3 a.m, I gave up on sleep, went downstairs for water, found my mother in the kitchen, sitting at the table with tea. Can't sleep either, she asked. I poured water, sat across from her. Too much on my mind. Me too. Your father's getting worse. He won't admit it, but I can see it. Every day a little less of him. By Christmas, he'll be bedridden. By spring, she didn't finish. I'm sorry, Mom. Are you? She looked at me over her tea. Because you've been avoiding us for 10 years, missing holidays, missing birthdays, making excuses. I know you and your siblings had some falling out, but Thomas, family is family. You don't just walk away. Sometimes you have to. Why? What happened that was so terrible you couldn't forgive it? I almost told her. Almost pulled out my phone, showed her the documents, explained the whole sordid story right there at 3 a.m. in her rented kitchen. But something stopped me. Maybe mercy. Maybe strategy. Maybe just the knowledge that she'd find out soon enough, and I wanted one last moment where she could still pretend her family was intact. It's complicated, I said. It always is. But holding grudges only hurts you in the end. Your brother, your sister, they love you. They want you back in their lives. Did they tell you that? They didn't have to. I'm their mother, I know. She didn't know anything. She'd spent decades looking at her children through rose-colored glasses, seeing what she wanted to see, ignoring the rot underneath. She'd probably sensed something wrong, but never let herself examine it too closely, because that would mean admitting her family wasn't perfect. Her children weren't perfect. Her life wasn't what she'd pretended it was. Tomorrow, that illusion would shatter. I'd be holding the hammer. Maybe you're right, I said. Maybe I should try to reconcile. She brightened. You mean it? I mean, I'm here, aren't I? That's a start. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. That's all I ask. Just try. For me, for your father. We don't have much time left, and I don't want to spend it watching my children hate each other. I'll try, I lied. She smiled, satisfied, believing what she needed to believe. We finished our drinks in silence. Then she went back to bed, and I sat alone in the dark kitchen, waiting for dawn. The morning came gray and drizzling. Perfect weather for what was about to happen. Elena and I dressed carefully. Me in the same slightly shabby clothes from yesterday, her in something elegant and armor-like. We went down to breakfast, found most of the family already assembled. Monica was making mimosas. Paul was reading his phone. Daniel wasn't there yet. Sleep well? Monica asked, too bright. Well enough, I said. My father sat at the head of the table, eating nothing, drinking black coffee. He watched me with knowing eyes. My mother fluttered around, playing hostess, oblivious. The conversation was light, superficial. Plans for the day. Who wanted to play tennis? Whether we'd do the formal photos before or after lunch. At 11:30, my phone buzzed. Text from Jim. Filed. Process server en route. ETA 12:15. I showed Elena under the table. She nodded fractionally. Daniel arrived at noon, apologetic about being late. Work call. Client emergency. He poured coffee, joined the table, acted like he owned the place. Like he always had. He caught my eye once and smirked, clearly still thinking about last night's confrontation, still convinced he'd won. At 12:10, someone knocked on the front door. Heavy, official. My mother frowned, went to answer it. We heard voices, confusion. Then she returned, pale, holding papers. There's a man here. He says he needs to see Daniel. Something about legal documents. Daniel's face went blank. What? The process server appeared in the doorway, professional and impassive. Daniel Westbrook? Yes? You've been served. He handed over a thick envelope. Civil complaint, Harrison County Court. Have a good day. He left. The room went silent. Daniel stared at the envelope like it might explode. Monica stood frozen with her mimosa. Paul's eyes went wide. My mother looked between all of us, bewildered. What is this? Daniel said quietly. Open it and find out, I said. He tore it open, pulled out the complaint, started reading. The color drained from his face. Then it came back, red and furious. He looked up at me, eyes blazing. Language, my father murmured. You're suing me? Daniel's voice rose. You're actually suing me? Not just you. I stayed calm. Monica too. Civil fraud, forgery, theft, breach of fiduciary duty. It's all there. 20 pages, give or take. Monica grabbed the papers from Daniel's hands, scanned them, went white. This is insane. You can't prove any of this. I can, actually. Forensic evidence, forged signatures, document trails, bank records, all of it authenticated and admissible. Your name's on every page. You're lying. But her voice shook. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opened the recording app, played Daniel's voice from last night. You were always the weak one, the one who couldn't handle pressure. His face went purple. You recorded me? One-party consent state, Elena said pleasantly. Perfectly legal. You set me up. No, I gave you rope and you hanged yourself. Paul stood up. What the hell is going on? Your brother and sister stole from Tom, Elena said. About $800,000 from the family trust and his personal accounts. They forged his signature, transferred assets, bled him dry while he was trying to start his business. They let him fail. They watched him suffer. And they got rich off it. That's a lie. Monica's voice was shrill. That's a complete lie. Is it? I looked at her. Then explain the signature analysis. Explain the account transfers. Explain why you were present at the bank when 3 separate fraudulent transactions occurred. I was helping you. By stealing from me? We were protecting the family assets. From me, your brother. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at Daniel for support. But Daniel was reading the complaint with shaking hands, and whatever he was seeing, there was destroying him. This will cost you everything, he said finally. You know that? Even if you somehow win, the legal fees will bankrupt you, and you won't win. We have the best lawyers money can buy. You have money you stole from me. Let's see how long it lasts. My mother's voice cut through. Thomas, Daniel, what is happening? Ask your son, I said, not taking my eyes off Daniel. Ask him how he paid for his house, his cars, his lifestyle. Ask him where the money came from. Tom, stop this. Her voice broke. I can't. Yes, you can. Whatever happened, whatever you think happened, we can work it out. Family works things out. Not this time. That stopped everyone. The room went silent except for the drizzle against the windows. My mother's eyes filled with tears. How can you be so cruel? He gave me the evidence, I said quietly. Dad did. He had his attorney give it to me 3 months ago. He knew what they did. He documented it. He wanted me to have justice. She turned to my father. Robert? He met her eyes, said nothing, but he didn't deny it. You knew? Her voice was barely a whisper. You knew and you didn't tell me? I knew. And you're letting this happen? I'm allowing Tom to do what I should have done years ago. I'm allowing consequences. Monica made a sound like she'd been struck. Dad, you can't believe… I have the forensic reports, he said. I've had them for 6 years. I know exactly what you did. I know exactly what Daniel did. I've known for longer than Tom has. I just didn't have the strength to confront you. I thought maybe you'd confess. Maybe you'd make it right. You never did. Because there's nothing to confess. Daniel slammed the papers on the table. This is all fabricated. Tom's angry because he failed and we succeeded. This is jealousy. This is revenge for imagined slights. Imagined? I stood up. You want to talk about imagined? Let's talk about Digital Solutions Group. My company, the one I started with money from my trust, except my trust was empty. Want to know why? Because you'd already transferred it to yourself. $800,000. Gone. So I took loans, personal loans, put everything on credit cards, and when the company failed, I was left with nothing but debt and the knowledge that my own brother had sabotaged me. You sabotaged yourself. You forged my signature. Prove it. I will. In court, under oath, with expert witnesses who will testify that those signatures were forged, with forensic accountants who will trace every dollar, with documentation showing exactly how you systematically stole from me while pretending to be concerned, while offering fake sympathy, while watching me struggle and doing nothing. You're delusional. Am I? Then why did you threaten me last night? Why did you say you'd bury me if I came after you? Why did you admit you have lawyers and money and connections? Because you know I'm right. You know I have proof. You know you're done. He lunged at me. Actually lunged. Paul caught him, held him back. Daniel struggled, face twisted. I will destroy you. I will take everything you have. I will make you wish you'd never been born. Stop it! My mother's scream cut through everything. Stop it right now, all of you. But we couldn't stop. This had been building for 10 years. This was the earthquake after a decade of pressure. This was family geology, explosive and inevitable. Elena stood, placed herself between me and Daniel. Tom, we should go. Not yet. Yes, now. Let them process. Let the lawyers start working. This isn't the place. She was right. This was escalating too fast. But I couldn't leave without saying one more thing. I looked at each of them. Daniel, red-faced and murderous. Monica, pale and shaking. Paul, confused and frightened. My mother, crying. My father, grim and silent. You took everything from me, I said. My money, my future, my dignity. You did it because you thought you could get away with it, because I was weak and you were strong. But I'm not weak anymore. And you're about to learn exactly what that means. I turned to Elena. Let's go. We left through the front door, got in our car, drove away while rain fell and my family imploded behind us. My hands shook on the steering wheel. Elena put her hand on my knee. You did good, she said. I feel sick. That's normal. You just burned down your family. No, they burned it down 10 years ago. I just made it official. She was quiet for a moment. Then, what your mother said, about your father, did you know he told them himself? No, but I'm not surprised. He wanted them to know he knew. Wanted them to understand they weren't getting away with it, even if he couldn't stop it himself. He's a complicated man. He's a coward who waited too long. Maybe, but he gave you the tools to fight back. That counts for something. I didn't answer, just drove, put miles between us and the Riverside estate, between us and the explosion we'd just detonated. My phone started buzzing, texts from Monica, calls from Paul, nothing from Daniel. I ignored all of it. Elena handled her phone efficiently, responding to Jim Brennan, confirming next steps, setting up meetings with the attorney. It's going to get worse before it gets better, she said. You know that. I know. They'll try to settle, offer money, try to make this go away quietly. I don't want settlement. I know you don't, but Tom, you need to be prepared for that offer. They'll come at you hard, threaten you, bribe you, try every angle. Let them. And if they threaten me? I looked at her. What? Daniel said he'd come after me too. You think he won't try? Rich, powerful men don't like losing. They especially don't like losing to people they consider beneath them. He will try to hurt you through me. Are you ready for that? Are you? She smiled. I've been ready since the day I met you and you told me what they did. I knew then this would happen eventually. I've been preparing for it. How? By being better than them? Smarter? More careful? I've covered every base, closed every loophole, anticipated every move. They're going to fight dirty, but they're amateurs at this. I do it for a living. I loved her so much in that moment it hurt. This woman who'd taken my broken pieces and helped me forge them into something sharp, who'd seen my family's cruelty and instead of running had armed herself for war, who'd never once suggested I forgive or forget or move on. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when it's over. When they're broken and you're still standing, then you can thank me. We drove home in silence. Let the rain wash away the morning. Let the miles accumulate. Let the old life fade in the rearview mirror. Tomorrow would bring the counterattack. Tomorrow Daniel would unleash his lawyers. Monica would play victim. Paul would claim ignorance. Tomorrow my mother would call crying. My father would say nothing, and the family would fracture completely. But today, right now, driving through gray rain with Elena beside me and papers filed in Harrison County Court, I felt something I hadn't felt in 10 years. I felt free. The counterattack came faster than expected. Sunday morning, 48 hours after the service, my phone rang at 7 a.m. Unknown number. I answered. Thomas Westbrook? Male voice. Professional. Predatory. Who's asking? Gerald Hoffman, Hoffman and Associates. I represent your brother Daniel. We need to talk. Talk to my lawyer. I'd prefer to speak with you directly, man to man. This situation doesn't need to escalate. It's already escalated. Your client stole from me. Your client made strategic financial decisions regarding shared family assets. Completely legal, completely documented. If there was miscommunication about authorization, that can be addressed through settlement discussions, not litigation. There was no miscommunication. There was forgery. That's a serious accusation, one you'll need to prove in court, which will take years, cost hundreds of thousands, destroy your family, or... He paused. Or we can resolve this quietly. My client is prepared to offer restitution. How much? 200,000. Cash. Confidential settlement agreement. All parties move on. I laughed. Actually laughed. He stole 800,000. You're offering two? You'd get 200,000 more than you'd get after legal fees eat up any judgment. And that's assuming you win, which is far from certain. I have forensic evidence, expert testimony, forged documents. You have an interpretation of events. We have an equally valid interpretation. The courts favor the status quo. Your brother has possession. You're the challenger. The burden of proof is on you. That's an uphill battle you're not equipped to win. Tell Daniel his offer is declined. Mr. Westbrook, tell him I'll see him in court. Tell him every document, every transaction, every lie will be public record. Tell him I'm going to bury him, then tell him to go to hell. I hung up. Elena appeared in the doorway, coffee in hand. That was quick. Settlement offer, 200,000. Insultingly low. That's what I thought. They'll come back higher, maybe 5, maybe the full 8. I don't care what they offer. I know, but you need to be prepared for the pressure. They'll use your mother, your father. They'll paint you as vindictive, greedy, crazy. Let them. She sat on the bed. Tom, I need you to really hear me on this. The next few months are going to be brutal. They're going to investigate you, dig up everything, old relationships, past mistakes, anything they can use to discredit you. They'll make you look like the bad guy. I don't care. You say that now, but when it's your name in the news, when reporters are calling, when strangers are judging you based on a version of events your brother's PR team constructed, you'll care. Everyone cares when they're being destroyed publicly. Then help me not care. I can't do that. I can only help you survive it, but you have to want to survive. You have to be committed, because the easy path is always there. Take the money, sign the agreement, walk away. Nobody would blame you. I looked at her. Would you? No, but I'm not everyone. You're the only one who matters. She kissed me then, fierce and quick. All right, then we fight. But we fight smart. No more surprise recordings, no more confrontations. Everything through lawyers now. Clean, professional, unassailable. Agreed. The rest of Sunday was quiet. We stayed home, ignored the calls and texts. Elena worked at her laptop, coordinating with Jim and the forensic accountant. I pretended to read, mostly just stared at the wall, processing. My family was truly gone now. Not just distant. Gone. The relationships I'd grown up assuming were permanent had been revealed as conditional, and the conditions had failed. Monday morning, I went to work, tried to pretend everything was normal. My boss, Rick, called me into his office at 10. Tom, got a call this morning. Guy named Gerald Hoffman. Said he represents your brother in some legal matter. Asked a lot of questions about your employment here, your performance, your character. What did you tell him? Nothing. Told him to submit official requests through proper channels. But I need to know, is this going to become a problem for the firm? No. You're sure? It's a family matter, civil lawsuit, nothing criminal, nothing that affects my work. Rick studied me. We'd worked together for 5 years. He'd hired me when I was still rebuilding, given me chances, trusted me with good clients. He was a decent man. But he was also running a business. I need you to be straight with me, he said. Are you in trouble? The opposite. I'm finally getting justice for something that happened to me 10 years ago. But the people involved have money and lawyers, and they're going to make noise. I can't stop that. What I can tell you is that none of it will impact my work. None of it will touch this firm. And when it's over, I'll still be the same person I am now. All right, I trust you. But Tom, be careful. Rich people fight dirty. I know. I worked the rest of the day, handled client calls, reviewed contracts, kept my head down, but I could feel the stares from coworkers, the whispers. Someone had already been talking. Maybe Hoffman had called others at the firm. Maybe someone had searched my name online and found… What? Nothing yet. The lawsuit was too new, but it wouldn't stay quiet. These things never did. Tuesday morning, I woke to my phone exploding. Texts from numbers I didn't know. Friend requests on social media. Then I saw why. The local newspaper had run a story. Local Families Trust Fund lawsuit alleges fraud, forgery. They'd gotten the complaint, printed excerpts, added context about my father's medical practice, Daniel's business success, made it sound like wealthy people squabbling over money, made me sound like a bitter failure trying to tear down his successful siblings. They're spinning it, Elena said, reading over my shoulder. Fast. Daniel hired a PR firm, probably this weekend. They've been working the story, planting angles, making him the victim. How do we counter it? We don't. Not yet. Let them control the narrative for now. Let them overplay their hand. The more they protest, the guiltier they look. And when we present our evidence in court, in official filings that can't be spun, the contrast will be stark. Patience, Tom. This is a marathon. But patience was hard when my phone wouldn't stop buzzing, when old college friends messaged asking what was going on, when my mother called 6 times in an hour, leaving voicemails that started concerned and ended angry. When Paul sent a long text about how I was destroying the family, hurting Dad, breaking Mom's heart. And for what? Money, pride, revenge. I didn't respond to any of it. Wednesday, Hoffman called again. Mr. Westbrook, we need to talk. Through lawyers. Your stubbornness is costing everyone. Your parents are suffering. Your mother is devastated. Your father doesn't have much time. Do you really want his last months to be consumed by this ugliness? My father gave me the evidence. According to you. Your client is a liar. That kind of hostility isn't helping. Look, I'm authorized to increase the offer. $350,000. Final. Take it or leave it. But if you leave it, we're going scorched earth. Every mistake you've ever made, every questionable decision, every person who's ever had reason to doubt you, we'll find them. We'll put them on the stand. We'll paint you as unstable, unreliable, and motivated by jealousy. And we'll win. You're done now. Mr. Westbrook, because I'm done listening. My answer is no. Tell Daniel I'll see him in court. Tell him to bring his best lies. Tell him it won't matter. I hung up. Elena appeared. What was the offer? $350. Getting nervous, good. They threatened to investigate me, dig up dirt. Let them. You've lived clean for 10 years. You have me. You have a good job. You have character witnesses who'll vouch for you. What do they have? A thief, a conspirator, and a brother who benefited from fraud. The dirt flows one direction. She was right. I knew she was right. But the doubt crept in anyway. Had I lived clean? Were there things from my 20s, from the dark years after the theft, that could be weaponized? Relationships that ended badly? Debts I'd been slow to repay? Angry emails I'd sent in frustration? Everyone has dirt if you look close enough. Everyone has moments they're not proud of. Thursday, the first reporter showed up at my office. Young woman, aggressive. Mr. Westbrook, can you comment on allegations that you're suing your terminally ill father? I'm not suing my father, but the trust is in his name. The lawsuit directly impacts. I'm suing my brother and sister for fraud. My father supports this action. Do you have proof of that? Talk to his attorney. Sources say you've been estranged from your family for years, that you've had mental health struggles, that you're doing this for attention. Who are your sources? She smiled. I protect my sources. Then I have nothing to say to you. She tried to follow me into the building. Security stopped her. But she'd gotten what she wanted. Footage of me looking uncomfortable, avoiding questions, acting guilty. It would play perfectly in their narrative. Angry, unstable brother attacking successful family members. That night, I searched my name online. The story had spread. Local blogs, social media, people who didn't know me, didn't know the situation, weighing in with opinions. Most sided with Daniel. Successful businessman being targeted by bitter sibling. A few thought I might have a point. Most just enjoyed the drama. Stop reading it, Elena said, taking my phone. You'll drive yourself crazy. They think I'm the villain. Because that's the story being told right now. Our story comes later, in court, where it matters. What if they're right? What if I am the villain? She cupped my face. Listen to me. You are not the villain. You were wronged. Severely. Deliberately. You're seeking justice. That doesn't make you a villain. It makes you human. I destroyed my family. They destroyed it first. You're just making it official. The deposition took place in a sterile conference room downtown. White walls, long table, court reporter in the corner. Jim Brennan sat to my left, Elena to my right. Across from us, Daniel and his legal team, Gerald Hoffman plus 2 associates, all expensive suits and calculated expressions. Monica would be deposed separately later in the week. Daniel didn't look at me when we entered, just stared at his phone, jaw tight. He looked thinner, stressed. Good. Hoffman started with the basics: name, age, employment, establishing facts. Then he shifted. Mr. Westbrook, you allege my client forged your signature on multiple financial documents, is that correct? Yes. But you have no direct evidence of forgery, do you? No video footage, no confession, no eyewitness. I have forensic signature analysis, performed by an expert you hired. An expert with a financial interest in supporting your claims. An expert with credentials and a professional reputation. Someone who's testified in federal cases. Someone who gets paid to tell you what you want to hear. Jim cut in. Asked and answered. Move on, Gerald. Hoffman smiled, unfazed. Mr. Westbrook, isn't it true that your business, Digital Solutions Group, failed due to your own mismanagement? No. You ran out of capital within 18 months. Because the capital was stolen, or because you spent recklessly, hired too many people, leased expensive office space, made poor strategic decisions. The accounts were drained before any of those expenditures. According to your interpretation. But the timing is ambiguous, isn't it? You started spending, the business faltered, and only then did you claim the money was missing. That's not what happened. Prove it. Jim spoke up again. This isn't testimony, Gerald. You're making arguments. I'm establishing timeline. Hoffman leaned forward. Mr. Westbrook, you claim $800,000 was stolen, but your business expenses over those 18 months totaled approximately $600,000. If you had $800,000 to start, you would have had $200,000 remaining. Where is that money? I stayed calm. Elena had prepared me for this. My trust was worth approximately $800,000. Over several years, between ages 23 and 27, my brother transferred portions of that trust to his own accounts using forged authorizations. By the time I tried to start my business at age 28, the trust was depleted. I didn't realize it until I attempted to make a withdrawal and discovered the accounts were nearly empty. Nearly empty. Not completely empty. $73,000 remaining, from an original $800,000. And you're certain that differential was due to theft, not legitimate withdrawals you made yourself over those years? I never made withdrawals. Never? Not from the trust. I had a separate checking account for living expenses. And this separate account, was that funded by your employment income alone? And occasional gifts from my parents. Occasional gifts. Could those gifts have come from your trust? No. They were separate. Hoffman made a note. Mr. Westbrook, you've been estranged from your family for 10 years. Isn't that correct? I've kept my distance. Yes. Because of these alleged thefts? Because of actual thefts? Or because you couldn't face your own failures and needed someone to blame? Elena put a hand on my arm. Warning. I breathed. No. No? Then why did you wait 10 years to bring this lawsuit? If you knew in 2014 that theft had occurred, why file charges in 2024? Because I didn't have proof until 3 months ago. But you knew. You're claiming you knew the money was missing. You suspected your brother, yet you did nothing. For a decade. I had suspicions. I didn't have evidence. My father gave me the evidence. His attorney provided documents my father had collected proving the theft. That's when I filed. According to you, your father is too ill to testify, conveniently, and his attorney is your attorney, so we have no independent verification of your story. Jim stood up. Gerald, this is harassment. My client has answered your questions. His father's attorney is a respected member of the bar with no reason to lie. If you want to depose him, schedule it. Otherwise, move on. Hoffman sat back, checked his notes. Mr. Westbrook, you've accused my client of systematic, deliberate fraud. That's a serious allegation, criminal even. Yes. And yet you filed a civil suit, not a criminal complaint. Why? Because criminal charges require a different burden of proof and involve different prosecutors. Civil court is faster. Or because you know criminal charges wouldn't stick, because your evidence is ambiguous, because what you're calling fraud could just as easily be explained as family members making joint financial decisions about shared assets. They weren't shared assets, they were my assets. Your assets held in a family trust administered by your father, a trust your brother was also listed on, a trust that, according to the original documents, gave broad authority to any family member over age 21 to make distributions as needed for family welfare. That stopped me. I looked at Jim. He kept his face neutral. I wasn't aware of that clause, I said carefully. Of course you weren't, because you didn't read the trust documents. You assumed. You assumed the money was exclusively yours. You assumed your brother had no authority. You assumed wrong. The distributions your brother made were completely within the parameters of the trust. He forged my signature. Or he made authorized distributions that happened to require your signature as a formality, which he provided on your behalf as co-trustee. That's not forgery. That's administration. I felt the floor shifting. Elena leaned in, whispered, "Stay calm. This is strategy. We've reviewed the trust. That clause exists, but it doesn't authorize forgery. He's conflating administration with fraud. Don't engage." I nodded, kept my face blank. Hoffman continued. "Mr. Westbrook, did you ever explicitly tell your brother not to access your trust?" "I didn't think I needed to. It was my trust." "But you never said, specifically, 'Daniel, do not make distributions from my trust accounts.'" "No." "Did you ever ask him about the status of your trust? Ask for account statements? Request updates?" "I assumed everything was intact." "You assumed, but you didn't verify. You didn't communicate. You just assumed your brother was acting maliciously when in fact he may have been acting within his authority as co-trustee to make distributions he believed were in the family's best interest. By draining my account? By managing shared assets according to the trust's guidelines. Guidelines you never bothered to read. I wanted to explode, wanted to flip the table, wanted to grab Hoffman by his expensive tie and explain exactly how his logic was bullshit. But Elena's hand tightened on my arm. Jim stayed relaxed. I forced myself to breathe. "The signatures were forged," I said evenly. "Expert analysis proves it. That's the case, not trust interpretation." "We'll see what the judge thinks." Hoffman closed his folder. No further questions. Daniel stood immediately, still hadn't looked at me. They filed out. The door closed. I put my head in my hands. "He's good," I said. "He's expensive," Jim corrected, "but he didn't land anything fatal. The co-trustee argument is weak. Yes, Daniel was listed, but that doesn't authorize forgery. And the timing question about why you waited 10 years, we'll handle that with your father's testimony. Well, his attorney's testimony about your father's intentions." Hoffman made me look stupid. "He made you look uninformed about trust law. That's not the same as stupid. Judges understand that most people don't read legal documents carefully. That's why we have forensic evidence. That's why we have signature analysis. The substance of the case hasn't changed. But I felt like I was losing. Depositions always feel that way for the plaintiff. They're designed to rattle you, to find weaknesses. You did fine, stayed calm, didn't get emotional. That's what matters." Elena added, "Daniel's deposition is next week. Watch him fall apart when we ask about specific transactions. When we put the forged documents in front of him and make him explain them. He'll crack." "You think?" "I know. Rich men who've never faced consequences don't handle pressure well. They bluster. They threaten. They lie poorly. We'll get him." I wanted to believe her. But Hoffman had rattled me. The co-trustee argument, even if legally flawed, created doubt. Created an alternative narrative. Created the possibility that I'd misunderstood the situation, that I'd been wrong all along, that my entire case was built on assumption rather than fact. We left the building. Outside, reporters waited. Same woman from before, plus others. "Mr. Westbrook, did the deposition go well? Do you have proof of the alleged forgery? Is it true your brother was authorized to manage the trust?" I kept walking. Elena handled them. No comment at this time. All matters will be addressed in court. We got to the car, drove away. I felt like I'd been beaten. That was brutal, I said. First round always is. They came out swinging, tried to establish doubt. But Tom, doubt isn't enough. They have to prove their version. We just have to prove ours is more likely. And we have the evidence to do that. Hoffman's going to tear apart the signature analysis. Let him try. We've used the best forensic examiner in the state, someone whose testimony has held up in dozens of cases. Hoffman can attack methodology all he wants. The science is sound. What about the co-trustee thing? It's a distraction. Yes, Daniel was listed as co-trustee. Yes, the trust document gives broad authority to manage distributions. But that authority doesn't extend to forgery. The signatures on those distribution forms weren't authorized by you. They weren't even signed in your presence. The forensic analysis will prove they were created by someone else attempting to mimic your signature. That's fraud, regardless of co-trustee status. Unless Daniel claims I authorized him verbally, which he'll have to prove, and he can't, because it didn't happen. His word against yours, and we have the forensic evidence on our side. Judges don't like forgery, even when the forgery was committed by someone with partial authority. The act itself is disqualifying. I hoped she was right. Needed her to be right. Because doubt was poison. Once it crept in, it infected everything. Made me question not just the case, but my own memory, my own understanding, my own righteousness. We got home. I showered, changed, tried to shake off the residue of the deposition. Elena ordered food. We ate mostly in silence. My mind kept replaying Hoffman's questions, the insinuations, the way he'd made me seem petty and vindictive rather than victimized. Stop, Elena said. What? Stop replaying it. I can see you doing it. You're going over every answer, every question, beating yourself up for not saying something different. I should have been sharper. You were fine. This isn't about sharp, it's about honest. You told the truth, simply. That's all you needed to do. Hoffman made me look weak. Hoffman did his job, now we do ours. Next week, Daniel sits in that chair, and we'll make him look like exactly what he is, a thief. I wanted to believe her, tried to, but doubt lingered. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the deposition, replaying Hoffman's questions, replaying my inadequate answers, wondering if I'd been wrong all along, if the money really was shared, if Daniel really did have authority, if I'd spent 10 years nursing a grudge over a misunderstanding. Then I thought about my father handing Jim Brennan that folder. Thought about 6 years of quiet investigation. That wasn't ambiguity. That was certainty. I had to trust it. Trust my father's judgment. Trust the forensic evidence. Trust that this wasn't delusion or revenge or misunderstanding. This was justice. Slow, difficult, uncomfortable, but justice. Elena stirred beside me. Can't sleep? No. Still thinking about the deposition? Yeah. She rolled over, faced me in the dark. Listen to me. You're going to have bad days. Days when their lawyers make you question everything. Days when you feel like the villain. Days when you wonder if it's worth it. That's normal. That's the process. But you don't give up. You don't quit. You push through those days, and you come out the other side stronger. How do you know? Because I've watched you do it before. When we met, you were broken, devastated. You'd lost everything, and you didn't think you'd ever recover. But you did. You rebuilt. You found work. You found me. You created a new life. You're stronger than you think. Strong enough for this. What if I lose? Then you lose, but at least you fought. At least you didn't let them get away with it. That's not comforting. I'm not trying to comfort you. I'm trying to steel you. Comfort is for after. Right now, you need steel. You need to know you can take their worst and keep going, because they're going to give you their worst. And if you flinch, if you hesitate, if you show weakness, they'll exploit it. I know. Then act like it. Stop second-guessing. Stop replaying. Stop wondering if you're wrong. You're not wrong. You were robbed. And we're going to prove it. But only if you stay strong. She was right. She was always right. I pulled her close, let her certainty seep into me, let her strength replace my doubt. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when Daniel's on the stand and we're destroying him. I will. She kissed my forehead. Now sleep. We have work tomorrow, and next week's going to be intense. You need rest. I closed my eyes. Let the darkness take me. Let tomorrow worry about itself. Tonight I just needed to survive. And tomorrow I'd do the same. One day at a time, one deposition at a time, one fight at a time, until it was over, until I won.